Hey, what's up you guys? Today I'm going to talk about how I budget. So I am going to go over how I budget and how I budgeted while my husband was gone and how I budget now. So first things first, I'm going to talk about my method. So way before I even met my husband, found an article talking about you should always put away 10% of every paycheck. So I've been doing that forever. And then before I met my husband, I had a budgeting method that I call, and I think it is called the 50-30-20 method. So 50% goes to your main bills, 30% goes to miscellaneous, and 20 is to saving for something or putting money away. So that is how I split out my money. So I typically go 50% goes to whatever bills I need to pay. So I usually keep that. 30% goes on to my credit card. So I don't typically use a credit card because I don't like overdrafting. I have a credit card that has a pretty decent limit on it, and I just continually use that for my payment methods, for groceries and gas and things like that, and then I pay it off every time I use it. And it's also handy for vacations and things, so I have that and then I just pay it off. That is our credit card, and we each have a portion of that credit card. So he has his own and I have mine, but it's linked to one account. So this may not work for everybody. So this is just how I do it. So I'm not spending money directly out of my bank account and spending all the money I have and then having to deal with overdraft. It's just like a weird control freak thing that I have. Next thing is the 20% for savings. So I split this. The 10% goes into my savings account, which my husband cannot get to, but it is my savings account and it's our money. So if we need anything, I will transfer it out of my account and then we have access to it. And then, so I have that 10%, and then the other 10% I either use for bills or savings, or if I need a little more money for my credit card. So depending. And then we also have several different accounts. So I have my checking account and my savings account that my paychecks go onto and I help pay bills with. And then we have a joint account, joint checking account. So the joint checking account, that 10% I have in there, I usually have the 20%, and then I will take 20% out of my paycheck to put into savings, and then the 20% is in our joint account. Some of it will go to bills and some of it will just stay in the account. So, and it just varies from month to month, and I know that's probably confusing. So, but that's what I do. So the 50-30-20 method with the 20% split in half. So how did I pay bills while my husband was gone? So as I talked about in my Army Pay video, we kind of made a plan ahead of time, and we tried to pay off as much as we could before he left, just in case we didn't get his paycheck right away. So we did get his check the 15th of the month, and it wasn't like huge or anything. It was bigger than what he was getting before he left. My hair's doing some sort of weird staticky thing. I'm sorry, I apologize. So I immediately started budgeting. My first thing is I had some goals set out. So I wanted to start chipping away at some of our debts. So the first thing I did was work on the lowest debt. So I did the snowball method. I wrote down everything that we had debt-wise and started chipping away. So we're still in this process. I've paid off one card. I actually ended up buying his present on it, so I ended up paying it off again. So I probably would have gotten a little bit further had it not been for that, but I wanted to get him a graduation present. So I am chipping away slowly at different debts. Again, these are month-to-month bills. So once I pay off one card, the payment that I've been paying for that card goes to the next card, and I just add it to the minimum payment for that. So I also, anytime I'm paying a payment, I round it up to the nearest tenth. So if it is $155, I'll round it up to $160. So that means I'm just paying a little bit above the minimum, but it's chipping it away slowly. And then I'm working off paying off one card at a time versus looking at all my debt as a whole and being like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? So that is what I do with paying off that. And then other things I did while he was gone, I tried to mainly eat at home, or sometimes my parents would offer me food and I would eat with them. Just buying the necessities. So I didn't have like a whole lot of like fancy foods. And then I was just buying what I needed, and occasionally I would treat myself when I would go out. I did it a lot more in the summer than I did just because I was busier, but I was very, very strict about it, especially while he was at basic, when he wasn't spending as much money. It was kind of a great opportunity. So my husband I spend more with my husband, and I think it's just a natural thing to do. I'm sure some of you all out there have that same with your spouses with you. You spend more money. So I took that opportunity while he was at basic training to just work on saving and paying off bills. So that was a great opportunity. When he was at AIT, he was able to go to the PX and everything, so he was spending a little bit more money, and it made it a little more difficult to kind of budget, since I never knew what he was doing, but he always communicated what he was buying to me, so we knew. So I always use my method. Anytime I get a check, I go and I do the math for it and split it out, divvy it up. And then I always doing this, anytime I take that 50% to pay for bills, I'm always ahead. So right now I've paid off half of November's bills already, because I'm always doing that 50-30-20 method. While my husband was away, I was able to get ahead, so we could continue being ahead when he got back and was getting paid less. So those are what I did while he was away. Now like I said, we're ahead, so we're continuing to try to keep that being ahead. So paying off debt, and we're still paying those bills down, and then we are staying ahead with the monthly bills, even further ahead than we expect to. So it's really, really helpful. And then continuing to putting things in savings. If I had not had those savings when my husband had left, then when the car needed a new rotor put on while he was gone, I probably wouldn't have been able to do that. So I have that savings. It's kind of an emergency fund. It's kind of for other things for the future. So having that savings is really, really important. Kind of building up that emergency fund. It's helped us many, many times and kept us from going completely under. And so I highly recommend just having some sort of savings. Putting that 10% away every month. Sometimes you have to use it, sometimes you don't. But in bad times, it's always nice to know, hey, I have a cushion. So I don't see that money a lot. It's in my savings account, which my bank is like a million miles away. I can transfer it if I need to, but most of the time it's out of sight, out of mind. And then when I do need it, I'm like, oh, I have an emergency fund. It's ready. Here we go. I feel like I've rambled a lot in this video, but I hope it's very helpful. If you have any budgeting, paying bill questions, any Army questions at all, please feel free to comment down below and give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and hit the subscribe button. And I will see you all on Monday. I should have a drill vlog ready for you. Bye.